All right, welcome everybody to our second Hive Live. Back again here from our Hive here in New Jersey. I'm Brian. This is Marcos. We're going to talk a little bit more today about coding in VR and some cool stuff that we've seen and things that we're up to. Share a little bit of an update with you all about our awesome summer camps, which will be out by the end of the week. So, like beginning of next week, you'll be able to sign up for one of over 100 different options of time slots and different camp possibilities for you to check out. Cost is going to be right in the wheelhouse of where you guys want to be. Get some really cool opportunities to learn some great stuff. So we'll talk about some fun things today. Looking forward to jumping back on this with you, Marcos. We had a lot of fun last week.
Yep.
So thrilled to be back again. I know Marcos, my man, he's bouncing back from shot number 2, so he's getting his immunity up. He's just about recovered with us, which is good to see, but he wouldn't miss this for the world because he had so much fun last week. He's like, yeah, I'll be there. Don't stop me.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
definitely. This was tons of fun. There was no missing out on this one. So
yeah,
I mean, that second shot is a doozy, but we had to get on and definitely keep stuff moving along. So happy to be here, and let's jump right into this and get this going. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you who weren't with us last week, we are going to be going live today. We're streaming live to our Twitter account, our Facebook page, and to our Twitch page, our brand new Twitch page, which we're going to be streaming live to once a week, every single week. You catch the replays on YouTube and on Facebook and on Twitter. They'll be running, so you'll be able to see us run these lives. Like I said, every week we'll be going every Tuesday, 7:00, same B time, same B channel, right? So
that's right.
We're going to be up and running. We'll get these things going. We'll have some fun. We'll bring on some cool guests for you guys in the next few weeks and share some really amazing stuff. So for those of you who didn't join us last week, I'm Brian Costello, XR enthusiast and one of the team members here at Princeton Hive. This is Marcos Navas, creator of Hands-On Coding, 8 million other things that Marcos has to his name. You know, he's got all kinds of stuff that the whole laundry list of alphabet stuff that would go on there. You can just you name it, Marcos has probably got one of those. So we're just, come on here. We're talking about some things we love to do, things we're bringing to Princeton Hive that are really exciting. And so, we're just, we're thrilled to be able to bring this stuff to you and share some things with you and hopefully bring some knowledge and some excitement to these topics, which we both love. So, so today what we're going to talk about a little bit, and they kind of go hand in hand, is Marcos is going to tell us a little bit about block coding and why it's useful and why, why people should learn it. So Marcos, tell us a little bit about block coding, because I know you've got a lot of things going on where you teach people block code and the concepts behind it. So, what's the value there?
Absolutely. So again, super excited to be here, and we're talking this week. And again, me leading the coding hive here at the Princeton Hive, one of the things we definitely want to start with here is fundamentals and foundational type of ideas. And when it comes to the world of coding and computer science, there are tons of languages out there. There are physical written languages. And when we're getting to that level, you're literally learning a language, just like you would learn a foreign language. You're learning how to write out a language like that. But what they've done is they tried to simplify that to these literally what they look like are blocks. And I'm actually going to use a sample of what you may have seen if you go to code.org and play some of their games. You're going to see blocks like this, and you're able to put other blocks and connect them in there. So when you go to code.org and play some of their simple games, you're putting together commands using block coding. So they're blocks that have commands already written behind them to do a function or to do a certain command already prefixed. In certain blocks, you can change the number or change the variable. And again, if you go through code.org and played some of their games and levels, that is what you're doing. You're doing block coding. Now, behind every block code, there is an actual language code. There's an actual physically sentence code. And some people don't realize, but when you go through code.org, there is a small little button every time you pass a level that says, see the code, which will flip the card around and you'll see the actual written code. So again, it's just a simple way of making things simple. And some of the popular block coding platforms, websites, languages, brands really out there. One of the top ones in the world really comes out of MIT, and that is Scratch MIT. MIT Scratch. Yeah. I mean, that is pretty much a global thing. So you can go to Scratch MIT, open up an account. We actually, the Coding Hive does have some content behind that where we're creating using Scratch, showing you some fundamentals. And some of our summer camp is going to feature some of that Scratch side of things to create with that tool.
And, you know, Marcos, you talk about Scratch, and I think it's great that you mention it because it really has made coding accessible to kids at a young age. So I see kids as low as like first and second grade jumping on Scratch and making really cool things. Some of the kids that I've taught before who have done coding, they're putting together some really awesome things in Scratch that are if you were to try and teach them to write it in the script language from the beginning, it's really complicated.
Absolutely.
You're talking about some pretty advanced variables and functions, things like that, to make this stuff work. And it makes so much, the visual setup of it just helps it become accessible, right? So
and that's what block coding is all about. And what Scratch has done is just beautiful. Again, it's a great intro for kids, but let's take it a step further. So if we start looking at coding like a language, and for those of us who have or in the districts that are highly populated with bilingual students, we all know that the best time to learn a real language is at an early age. So if we start introducing coding like that as a language at an early age, you're a step ahead. But what Scratch has done is they created something called Scratch Junior, which is really now aimed for the pre-K to, I want to say, second grade audience. It's an app for iOS, and I believe they're also on the Android platform. And it takes these blocks and makes them even simpler with just really simple commands. And at that point of age, I mean, we're just learning to read and write and learning words. So they've really taken a step back, again, to introduce coding at that pre-K kindergarten level. And I've done that in my district, and I got to tell you, it's amazing what these kids can create once they understand what coding is and how it relates to making robots do certain things or making things come to life on the screen. They're all about that life.
Yeah, man, it's really cool how quickly you can have them make something that actually works. Like, so something that's as interactive as any video game they play on, 2D game they could play on their phone, it's right there on the screen ready to play within seconds, which is it's fantastic. So the fundamentals there, the pieces there, and you kind of held up a piece there from kind of visual piece from hands-on coding, and like just talk about what hands-on coding does real quick, and just
sure. I'll put it on the screen real quick. So what we did was we took that idea of block coding. So again, you go to code.org, you go to Scratch, you're going to be putting together blocks like this, which have a little command. This is a repeat block. You can then fill this in with another command. And again, you put all these together and it makes, in Scratch world, it makes the cat do something. In hands-on coding world, it makes Cody do something. And again, we took that block coding idea and we took that digital idea and made it analog. We made them actual blocks that you can put together with your hands on a desk and learn coding that way. And you can even team it up with Scratch. You can team it up with robots. And I know we've done dash and dots using this as the way of putting together the code and then throwing it over to the dash and dot program. But so it's a good way to get fundamental with coding. And again, that's what block coding is all about. Getting fundamental, getting introduced a little easier, and then going into the language side of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that. I really do, because then once you have that understanding of everything, putting the syntax to it, and that's really what it is. It's syntax, right? It's taking the conceptual, like logical layout of the coding and and putting a grammar to it, for lack of a better word, right? So like,
Yep.
and that's the one thing that gets tricky with different coding languages is there's different syntax, there's different grammar, but with that those blocks, no matter which block language you use, they're relatively similar to the point where it's pretty easy to cross over from one to the other. You can usually kind of pick up on it pretty fast, which I love about that. And speaking of programs that have a solid block language for users to create with, you know, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite, K-12 VR programs right now, which is CoSpaces. And CoSpaces is, it is such a great tool for people who want to get into design and spatial planning, for kids who are interested in VR, kids who are interested in creating VR, because it gives you all those, like you said, the fundamentals. It gives you an opportunity to build all of those things.
Yeah.
So if you imagine, so for those of you who haven't seen this, just imagine Scratch in 3D, right? So instead of the graphic going, up, down, left, and right, it also goes forward and backwards. So some of that stuff that we were talking about last time with, with the multiple dimensions, you're actually able to create almost anything, right? And it is a cartoon, right? It's not, it's not like you're rendering at a high level with a really deep, advanced, powerful rendering engine, where you're creating like serious 3D modeling, but you can create basically anything. And you can make models of almost anything, and it looks fantastic, right? So if you can learn to blend the shapes together and the materials, if you can learn to use the many pieces they provide, you can not only learn the basics of spatial design, which is one of the bigger challenges I think for most people with learning VR, is taking your thought process from that two-dimensional Scratch page and bringing it to 3D, right? Because now things don't just have to line up in two spots; they have to line up on all the planes, right? So X, Y, and Z, and so you have that challenge of really making sure, if you want to make something look realistic and function on a level that works for VR, they give you the opportunity to learn those skills, and it's definitely a great place to hone skills and building and developing before you make a leap to a high level engine, something like Unreal, or something, you're even just doing some like web-based XR, which is going to be more script coding language. So CoSpaces has the ability to do JavaScript, or TypeScript, but realistically, most people I know who are using this work in block language, and they have their own block language mainly because they allow you to use that. It works on an iPad. And without their own block language, they couldn't get the block-based coding to work on the iPad. So they have their own thing that they created, which I think is really, really fun. Go ahead. You look like you have a question there.
I got introduced to the CoSpace size using a merge cube, wanting to create content for merge cube, and it brought me to CoSpaces. And what I did was actually I took Cody blocks from Hands-On Coding, the little character, and I had a 3D version of him in Thingiverse. I was able to download the 3D version of that and bring it right into CoSpace. So if you're familiar with that 3D world with Thingiverse, and again, there's nowadays you can download these 3D files right off Thingiverse and some of these other, Tinkercad even has their own little library. You can download stuff. But I was able to bring my character into Tinkercad and then download it and bring it into CoSpace. Again, Tinkercad is a 3D tool, rendering tool that's online free. Thingiverse is a place where you can download free 3D objects. But again, this 3D world is getting very popular, and I was able to bring it to CoSpace and bring it to life a little bit. It was very simple and easy, I got to tell you.
Yeah, it really is. It's very accessible, right? So I mean, the cool thing about this is I can spend, and you can spend as much or as little time. And so we have some great camp content coming this summer that's going to revolve around CoSpaces. It's going to involve, full access to some of those things you're talking about, like the merge cube creation and stuff like that. Which is going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to make some cool things with it, whether it's, in VR or even with AR. They've added those pieces in the past couple of years. they have a really fantastic team. They're based in Germany, based in Munich. They really respond well to kind of feedback and interaction from the users, which is amazing from a company standpoint. And it is, like you said, it's accessible, it's quick to access. I've gone as deep as teaching this for days on end, and other times I've been able to just say, here's a quick crash course for 15 minutes, make something cool. And kids respond. It's one of the few things where I've had kids so excited about working in it that they'll bring their lunch to the computer lab to work on it. Back before when we were having lunch in school, they'll take their extra tutorial periods. They'll stay after school. They will work on it at home.
Yeah,
Kids will jump into this and they get really into it and they really start making some amazing things. And once I start showing them some of the stuff that I've made, some of the things that I'm just like, hey, you can really make anything. They start really jumping into it. So like you can put together, whatever you want, and it's pretty wild how quickly you can build something out. So here, I'm just going to show a quick shot here of CoSpaces, and this is something I printed out as just a random sample office space for Princeton Hive, and you can see there's definitely an animated way to it, and some of the things are a bit polygon featured, but a lot of this stuff I built with shapes, and other things are things from the library here that they have just tons and tons of items. And like you were saying, if I want to bring in 3-dimensional objects, I can just jump in and search for 3D models. Like I don't even have to go and find them. It's such a fantastic tool. And
again, being a novice to this, no pun intended, I'm just going to share my screen because I was able to get into my account. I don't know if you could see that. Can you?
Hold on, we got to get the. Go ahead, share. Let's see. I got to add it. There we go.
Oh, there we go. Again, I just threw this together 1 second, through a Flipgrid AR VR that was downloadable from there, threw in my Cody blocks, a couple of simple things from their gallery, and that's it,
and you're off and running, right?
Off and running. So it's simple, man. It's really simple. And it's fun. It's really fun.
Yeah. I mean, you get into it, all of a sudden you realize you've been building something for 40 minutes and the time just disappeared. And that's how engaging it is. It's a lot of fun to create with. And one of the things I love about it is you can take the share link right off that, put it into your Oculus browser or your Vive browser, or even on your phone and put it in your old school cardboard style and go right into VR and experience the scene you created. And
I can't wait for those camps because, it's not only the idea of learning and the skill of learning VR and AR and CoSpaces and all these tools in this world, but I think the power that you're going to really bring out in these camps is creating with these tools, creating with these ideas and these new skills of today and tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's, like I said, there's nothing more empowering when I'm teaching kids and I just say, here's the tool, go ahead and create that. And they get into it. And, I show them a few things, they start asking questions, and all of a sudden within a half hour, they've created something that they can actually see that looks and feels real. Like it's not it doesn't look like, I just learned how to make it. Now I threw it together. It really does look like you created something cool. And it doesn't take a lot of highly technical skill to start learning it, which, is one of the reasons I think it's a great place for beginners to start. So, I'm probably going to gush about CoSpaces more during the next few weeks. There's a really cool tool I want to showcase next week after I play around with it a little bit. For those of you who like me have been playing around with VR forever, especially in the education zone, chances are you spent your first like real VR experience was somebody handed you this cardboard box that you folded up and you stuck your phone in it, and then boom, you had like this. You're like, oh look, VR, and it was like, oh, that's really cool. How amazing. But no, I mean, and Google's kind of passing on their VR stuff right now. They're really discontinuing a lot of their 3D VR pieces. So like Poly's going to disappear this summer. Tour Creator is going to disappear this summer. And so, CoSpaces loves that kind of stuff, and they've been creating things to help to help fill some of those voids. So they
So
could.
we were able to bring out that Google traveling expeditions team to the district. So they brought their gear and a lot of what you cover in the VR AR side of things. You know, they came in with equipment where they pretty much mapped out the room and then were, you know, recreated something right in the room that we were in. But and I'm sure that that's content you cover. But definitely, I mean, Google, that's super exciting to hear next week, you know, talking about that world of things. I may dip into the design side of things next week and start talking about the design hive a little bit next week on next week's podcast. So it's going to be a really fun thing to continue this going next week.
Absolutely. So, you know, when I think about all the cool, like all the amazing things we could talk about, things that are really exciting, like I said, Google's kind of backing off of their VR stuff, which is disappointing because they had some great repositories. There's some positive things that are happening because they're open sourcing a lot of that stuff. So like Tilt Brush, which is their VR art scene, is now open source. So like you can make your own brushes, you can code your own programs inside of it, and people are really going to town and making some amazing things for Tilt Brush that have made the open source aspect of it just really cool. But you know, that's a whole nother avenue. But one of those things that I think a lot of us who have been playing around with VR for a long time got started with was Google Earth and Tour Creator and Expeditions. And because that's kind of fallen through, like that's going to fall kind of by the wayside at this point. I mean, Google Earth's still going strong, but you know, those expeditions, those tour creations, they're kind of disappearing. I definitely I want to play around a little more because it's been out since January, but I kind of dropped the ball and played around with it a little while because, you know, I was working on some other VR content that I was taking a look at, other aspects that I learned during the past few months. But this thing looks cool. It's called My360, my360.io. If you want to check it out, it is just this. It is basically like CoSpaces meets Tour Creator. You can add in all the cool things you want to do. You know, it has basically anything that you would do here. It doesn't involve, you know, quite everything that you get in CoSpaces, but it does allow you to add in your own 360 images and create different tours and 360 add-ons and setups. It's really interesting. I'm going to play around with it a bit more so I can show it to you next week with a little bit of flair, hopefully, and a little bit of excitement. But yeah, it's looking pretty exciting. So, you know, obviously next week, Marcos and I'll be back. Same, like I said, same beat time, same beat channel. We'll be back at 7:00 on Tuesday. The following week, we're just going to keep running these live shows and sharing different fun things. Maybe we'll be able to we're going to start lining up some guests pretty soon. You know, some really amazing industry people that can add lots to the conversation and share some really exciting things about what we do and the stuff we're interested in and excited about. So, you know, things that are coming up here for Princeton Hive, really exciting things. Like I said, those summer camps, look for those next week. Brand new launch of a redesigned website. It's going to make it really easy for you to find what you're looking for. Has some pretty cool, you know, AI back-ended stuff into the website to help you find what you're looking for and answer your questions. Streamlining all the processes in terms of finding information, finding things you wanted to get into, and also launching, like I said, 120 camp options for this summer. You know, so there's going to be 30 unique camps offered 2 times a day. So, you know, we're going to be running, 12 camps a day, 10 weeks for the summer. You know, we'll repeat some of those camps just to give people a chance who can't make them, check them out. Some really fun themes like we showed last week, life on Mars, smart cities. You know, we're going to be throwing out artificial intelligence, sci-fi, and school tomorrow, which our guy Matt Murray is the creator of that project, and he you know, he's got his own cool stuff going on with Curiosity Learning. It looks like we have some pretty heavy hitters lined up to help teach those classes. Besides Marcos, myself, we've got Matt coming in, and maybe a mystery surprise coming up pretty soon. We'll share with you guys, maybe even next week. We'll see. For our design.
And the best part is we have this podcast on a weekly basis to fill you guys in on all of this that's coming out and keep you on the latest bee news here right from the bee source, you know?
Yeah, I mean, You can hear everything that's going on, everything new, exciting that's coming out. Princeton Hive, we'll share that once a week, as well as pretty like just fun, random, interesting concepts to kind of fill your gaps or maybe share something you want to check out. So like Marcos was sharing tonight, some stuff about Scratch and hands-on coding, and I shared a little bit of CoSpaces with you guys, and Marcus mentioned Merge Cubes. We'll talk about Merge Cube a little bit more. Hopefully in the coming weeks. I'll take a whole segment just to talk about that. Maybe we can bring some people on from there and get them talking about it as well. So again, love doing this. Love chatting with you, Marcos. If you guys have any questions for us, you can always reach out to us at the Princeton Hive social media accounts, info@princetonhive.com. We'll be happy to take questions. You can reach out to our personal social media accounts as well. Like I said, we're excited to be sharing this content with you, coming to you live, talking about all this fun stuff, and we'll be back next week. So we'll see everybody on next Tuesday on the Hive Live, and have a wonderful week.
Take care, everyone.